Have you ever sat in the quiet of your room, heart aching, staring at your phone, waiting for a message from someone who broke you? That silence feels louder than any scream, doesn't it? And in that moment, a small, desperate voice whispers inside you, maybe it wasn't that bad. Maybe I should go back. We don't like to admit it, but many of us have been there, on the edge of returning to a love that never truly felt safe, never truly gave us peace. And yet something in us calls it love. But let me tell you this, toxic love isn't love. It's a wound disguised as warmth. It's chaos wearing the mask of passion. It's a storm that destroys everything in its path, while convincing you that the thunder is music. And deep down, you know this truth. You've felt it in your body, in the heaviness of your chest, in the tears you've hidden from everyone else. You've felt the way your soul tightens when you try to convince yourself it's love, when it's really control, manipulation, and pain. The hardest part isn't leaving. The hardest part is staying away, because leaving gives you a moment of clarity. But staying away requires courage, discipline, the belief that you deserve better, even on the days when your loneliness tells you otherwise. That's why so many people go back, not because they love being hurt, but because the pain feels familiar. And when something is familiar, it tricks us into thinking it's safe. I know this may be uncomfortable to hear, but someone needed to tell you the truth. Every time you go back to toxic love, you're teaching yourself a dangerous lie, that this is the best you'll ever get. And that lie buries itself so deep that you start believing you don't deserve real love, healthy love, safe love. But you do. You absolutely do. The truth is, love is not supposed to break you. Love is not supposed to make you question your worth every single day. Love is not supposed to silence your voice or make you feel small in rooms where you should feel seen. If it does, then it's not love. It's control dressed up as care. It's harm wrapped up in hope. And we need to stop calling that love. I want you to imagine this for a moment. The younger version of you, the little boy, the little girl, the little soul you once were. Imagine them sitting across from you right now. If they told you they were being treated the way this person treats you, would you tell them to go back? Would you tell them it's love? No, you would take their hand and pull them away. Because you know they deserve safety. They deserve gentleness. They deserve joy. So why do you believe you deserve any less now? The truth you've been avoiding is simple. Going back doesn't heal you. It reopens the wound. And wounds don't heal if you keep ripping off the bandage. Healing only begins when you allow yourself distance. When you give yourself permission to let go. When you finally say, I am worth more than this. That sentence alone can feel terrifying, because it demands that you walk into the unknown. But here's the beauty of the unknown. It holds freedom. It holds peace. It holds the possibility of a love that doesn't hurt. So today, as you listen, I'm not asking you to hate the person you loved. I'm asking you to honor yourself more than the pain, to choose courage over comfort, to stop going back to what broke you, and start moving toward what can build you. Because toxic love will never transform into true love. It can only keep you trapped. And you, my friend, were not born to live trapped. One of the hardest truths to accept is this: not everything that feels like love is love. Sometimes what we call love is actually survival. Sometimes it's attachment. Sometimes it's the fear of being alone dressed up as passion. And sometimes it's chaos that has learned how to disguise itself as care. Toxic love is dangerous, not just because it hurts, but because it tricks us into believing that pain is normal, even necessary. Think about it. How many times have you convinced yourself that the yelling, the jealousy, the endless apologies after broken promises were just signs of passion? How many times have you told yourself that the butterflies in your stomach were love, when really they were anxiety? We don't want to admit it, but so many of us confuse intensity with intimacy. We think the drama means it's real, that the roller coaster ride proves it must matter. But that isn't love, that's an illusion. Here's the thing about illusions. They're powerful because they look real, like a magician on stage. Toxic love distracts you with the sparkle of attention, with the rare good moments, with the promises that things will change. And in those moments, you forget the harm. You forget the tears. You forget the way you've been made to feel small. Because your heart wants so badly to believe the show in front of you is the truth. But when the lights go down, you're left with the emptiness behind the performance. Real love is steady. Real love is kind. It doesn't keep you guessing where you stand. But toxic love thrives on uncertainty. It thrives on the maybe tomorrow will be better mindset. It feeds on your hope and your willingness to forgive, over and over again, until forgiveness becomes a chain that ties you to the very thing that's breaking you. Let's be honest. Sometimes we mistake pain for proof. We think if I'm suffering this much, it must be worth it. It must mean it's real. But that's a lie. Pain doesn't equal depth. Love isn't supposed to feel like walking on eggshells. Love isn't supposed to be earned by enduring mistreatment. Love isn't supposed to demand that you shrink yourself to keep the peace. If you have to lose yourself to keep someone else, that's not love. That's abandonment, disguised as affection. And here's where it gets even more complicated. Toxic love often gives you just enough to keep you hooked. A kind word after cruelty. A sudden, unexpected tenderness after days of coldness. An I love you whispered in the middle of a storm. That's what makes it so confusing. It's not always bad. And those small glimpses of good convince you that maybe, just maybe, it's real love. But consistency, not intensity, is the foundation of love. And toxic love has no consistency. It only has cycles. I want you to pause and ask yourself something. When was the last time love felt safe? When was the last time it felt peaceful, steady, free? If you can't remember, then chances are what you're holding on to isn't love. It's fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of starting over. Fear of facing the silence that comes when you walk away. But I promise you this, silence is better than chaos. Peace is better than constant war. And a single honest life is better than a lifetime lived in illusion. The illusion of toxic love is strong, because it mirrors what many of us grew up seeing. Maybe you watched your parents fight, and thought that was what love looked like. Maybe you were taught that suffering is proof of devotion. Maybe you were told that if someone hurts you, it's because they care. Those lessons plant seeds of confusion that grow into patterns we repeat in adulthood. But patterns can be broken. Illusions can be shattered. The first step is daring to call it what it really is. Not love, because here's the truth you need to carry. Love doesn't have to hurt to be real. Love doesn't demand your pain as proof. Love doesn't make you question your worth. It affirms it. And once you see the difference, once the illusion fades, you can't unsee it. That's when the real journey begins. The journey of choosing truth over fantasy, healing over repeating, and freedom over familiar pain. If toxic love hurts so much, why do we go back? Why do smart, strong, capable people, people like you, find themselves walking into the same fire, knowing it will burn? This is the question that often carries the most shame. We whisper it to ourselves in the dark. What's wrong with me? Why can't I just leave and stay gone? But the truth is, there's nothing wrong with you. Going back doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human. We go back because our hearts are wired for connection. From the moment we're born, we crave belonging, closeness, and love. That longing is not a flaw. It's our design. But when that longing meets fear, fear of loneliness, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough, it can pull us back into places that harm us, simply because they feel familiar. And familiarity can feel safer than the unknown, even when the familiar is painful. Another reason we go back is hope. Hope is beautiful. It keeps us alive in the darkest of seasons. But hope can also keep us stuck when it's misplaced. We hope they will change. We hope things will get better. We replay the good moments like old love songs, convincing ourselves that if those moments happened once, they can happen again. And in a way, it feels brave to hope. But sometimes the bravest thing is to let go of hope for who someone could be and accept who they have shown us they are. Shame is another chain that drags us back. Shame whispers, if you leave, it means you failed. If you can't make this work, it means you're not lovable enough. That voice is cruel, but powerful. And so we stay or we return, thinking that enduring the pain somehow proves our worth. But staying in a place where you are diminished doesn't prove your worth. It hides it. Walking away, Choosing yourself, that's the proof of your worth. Then there's loneliness. Loneliness is heavy. It presses against your chest, makes the silence feel unbearable. And when the nights feel too long, when the bed feels too empty, it's easy to convince yourself that even toxic love is better than no love at all. But that's a lie. Because toxic love isn't love, it's abandonment wrapped in company. And being with someone who makes you feel alone is far lonelier than actually being alone. We also go back because of the cycle itself. Toxic love has patterns: tension, explosion, apology, honeymoon. That cycle becomes addictive. The highs feel intoxicating after the lows. The reconciliation feels powerful, almost sacred, because it's drenched in relief. You tell yourself, see, they do care. They do love me. But what you're experiencing isn't love. It's a chemical reaction. Your brain addicted to the rush of temporary relief after pain. It's the same way people get hooked on substances. The crash makes the high feel stronger. And that high keeps you going back for more. And finally, we go back because of the stories we tell ourselves. No one else will want me. I'm too broken to start over. This is just how love is. These stories may feel true, but they're lies. Lies planted by pain, watered by fear, and reinforced by the toxic patterns you've lived in. But here's the good news. Stories can be rewritten, and you are the author. So if you've ever gone back, I want you to hear this. You're not weak. You're not foolish. You're not broken beyond repair. You're simply someone who has been caught in the powerful pull of fear, hope, shame, and longing. But just because you've gone back before, doesn't mean you have to go back again. The fact that you are even listening to these words means something inside you already knows the truth. You are worthy of more. The courage to stay away doesn't come from hating them. It comes from loving yourself enough to say, I deserve better. That's not selfish. That's sacred. And the day you start believing that, truly believing it, is the day you stop returning to the places that broke you. Every time we go back to toxic love, we pay a price. Sometimes it's obvious, like tears and sleepless nights. Other times the cost is hidden, quiet, subtle, chipping away at us, piece by piece, until one day we hardly recognize ourselves. Going back feels easier in the moment, but the truth is, it's the most expensive choice we can make. The first cost is your self-worth. Each time you return, a small voice inside whispers, maybe this is all I deserve. You may not even notice it at first, but over time, that voice grows louder. And before long, you stop asking for more. You stop expecting respect, consistency, kindness. You begin to shrink yourself to fit the relationship, hoping that if you make yourself small enough, easy enough, forgiving enough, the other person will finally stay. But what you're really doing is teaching yourself that your needs don't matter. And that is the slowest kind of heartbreak. The second cost is your peace. Real love should feel like a safe place to rest, but toxic love feels like walking through a battlefield, never knowing where the next explosion will come from. You live in constant alert, scanning every word, every silence, every look, trying to guess what mood they'll be in today. That kind of hypervigilance is exhausting. It drains your energy, your joy, your ability to focus on anything outside the relationship. And over time, it steals the one thing every soul longs for: peace. Then there's the cost to your dreams. Toxic love doesn't just break hearts, it steals futures. The energy you could be using to build, create, and grow gets consumed by repairing, apologizing, surviving. Maybe you wanted to go back to school. Maybe you had goals, passions, friendships you wanted to nurture. But instead, you're stuck in a cycle, pouring your best into someone who gives you their worst. And one day, you look around and realize years have passed while you were busy trying to fix what was never yours to fix. The cost also shows up in your relationships with others. When you're wrapped in toxic love, the people who truly care for you often feel pushed aside. Friends stop calling because they don't know what to say anymore. Family members watch helplessly as you keep returning, and they pull back to protect their own hearts. Slowly, the circle of support you once had begins to shrink, and you find yourself more isolated than ever. Toxic love thrives in isolation because the less outside perspective you have, the easier it is to believe the lies you're being told inside the relationship. And perhaps the deepest cost is to your soul. Going back to a place that breaks you creates a fracture inside. A part of you knows the truth. You deserve better. But another part of you silences that truth for the comfort of familiarity. Living in that split between what you know and what you choose is soul-crushing. You begin to feel disconnected from yourself, like you're betraying your own heart. And nothing hurts more than abandoning yourself to keep someone else. I know this sounds heavy, but it's the reality many of us avoid facing. Because if we admit the cost, we have to admit the truth. Going back doesn't save us, it destroys us. It doesn't heal us, it wounds us deeper. It doesn't give us love, it takes away the capacity to recognize love when it finally does appear. But here's the good news. Every time you choose not to go back, you begin to reclaim what was lost. Your worth, your peace, your dreams, your community, your soul, they all begin to rise again. Healing isn't instant, but it's real. And the day you finally say, no more, is the day you stop paying the price of someone else's brokenness and start investing in your own wholeness. The cost of going back is high, too high, and you don't have to keep paying it. You deserve love that gives more than it takes, that heals more than it hurts, that builds more than it breaks. That love exists, but you'll never find it by returning to the place that stole it from you. Walking away from toxic love is not easy. It's sacred work. It's the kind of courage that doesn't get celebrated enough. Because people on the outside often don't see the battle you fight on the inside. They don't see the nights you sit awake, wrestling between your heart and your head. They don't see the tears, the shaking hands, the way your whole body resists letting go of what feels familiar. They don't see how terrifying it is to choose yourself when you've been trained to choose someone else. Courage doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it looks like silence, like blocking a number and refusing to unblock it. Sometimes it looks like packing a bag and walking out the door with no guarantee of what comes next. Sometimes it looks like crying on the bathroom floor, but still refusing to answer the call. And sometimes it looks like telling yourself, again and again, I am worth more than this, until the words finally feel true. That's courage. That's love, the kind you give to yourself. Here's the truth. Walking away doesn't mean you stopped loving them. It means you started loving you. It means you decided that your dignity, your peace, and your future mattered too much to keep sacrificing. And that choice, that brave choice, will change the entire story of your life. We often imagine courage as the absence of fear, but Brené Brown reminds us courage is not the absence of fear. It's choosing to show up even when fear is screaming at you. Walking away is exactly that. It's fear saying, what if I'm alone forever? And you answering, then I will learn to love myself in the meantime. It's fear whispering, what if no one else wants me? And you declaring, then I will still want me. It's fear warning, what if I regret this? And you responding, I will regret betraying myself more. Courage is also about redefining what love really means. For too long, toxic love convinces you that love is chaos, uncertainty, and pain. But real love, the love you deserve, is built on respect, kindness, trust, and freedom. Real love doesn't make you question if you're enough. It shows you that you are. Real love doesn't silence your voice. It makes space for it. Real love doesn't drain you. It fills you. And the first step toward finding that love is daring to walk away from the counterfeit version. And yes, walking away will hurt. Let's not pretend otherwise. There will be days you miss them. There will be nights when loneliness feels unbearable. There will be moments when your mind replays the good times, convincing you to return. But here's what you must remember. Missing someone doesn't mean you belong with them. Pain doesn't mean you made the wrong choice. Healing always hurts before it feels better. The wound stings when you clean it, but that's how it heals. The courage to walk away is not about never looking back with longing. It's about moving forward even when longing is there. It's about choosing a future that aligns with your worth, even when the past pulls at your heart. It's about saying, this chapter of my life is over, and I refuse to keep rereading it when there are new pages waiting to be written. And one day, you'll wake up lighter. One day, the silence will feel like peace instead of punishment. One day, you'll look in the mirror and recognize yourself again, the version of you who isn't defined by someone else's chaos. That day will come. And when it does, you'll know the courage to walk away wasn't just a choice. It was a turning point. So if you're standing at the edge right now, wondering if you have the strength to let go, hear me clearly. You do. you already do. You wouldn't even be questioning it if some part of you didn't already know the truth. Walking away is not the end, it's the beginning. And the courage you need is already inside you, waiting to be chosen. There comes a moment in every journey where the truth is no longer something you can avoid. It stares you in the face and asks, what will you choose now? For you, that moment is here. The truth has been whispering to you for a long time. Toxic love isn't love. Going back will not heal you. Staying will not make them change. You already know this. The question now is, what will you do with that knowing? You have two choices. You can keep circling the same cycle, paying the cost again and again, or you can choose courage. The courage to step out, to let go, to walk toward the unknown. And yes, courage will feel terrifying. It always does. But it will also feel holy. Because every courageous act is an act of honoring the life you've been given. Every courageous choice is a declaration. I am worthy. I am enough. I will not live in chains. I want you to imagine your future self, the version of you 5 years from now, the one who chose not to go back, the one who faced the silence and grew stronger in it, the one who rebuilt their dreams, their peace, their joy. What would that version of you say right now? I think they'd look at you with gratitude. They'd whisper, thank you. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for choosing us. Thank you for finally believing we were worth it. Because here's the truth. You are worth it. Worth more than broken promises. Worth more than apologies that don't lead to change. Worth more than a love that tears you down. You were created for more. You were created for a love that builds, that heals, that nourishes your soul. And you will never find that love as long as you keep going back to the one that breaks you. Leaving toxic love isn't about hating the other person. It's about finally loving yourself enough to stop betraying your own heart. It's about saying, I choose me. And I know, in a world that tells us love means self-sacrifice, choosing yourself can feel selfish, but it isn't. It's sacred. Because when you honor yourself, you teach the world how to honor you too. So here is my call to you. Don't go back. Not this time. Not again. You've already been through the fire, and you survived. Now it's time to stop running into the flames and start walking toward the light. Yes, it will be hard. Yes, it will hurt. But healing lives on the other side of hurt. Freedom lives on the other side of fear. Peace lives on the other side of letting go. One day, love will come. The kind of love that doesn't make you question your worth, that doesn't silence your voice, that doesn't leave you bleeding. The kind of love that feels like home, not a battlefield. But for that day to come, you have to stop making room for what isn't love. You have to create space for what's real. And until that day, let your love story begin with you, with your courage, with your choice to stop going back and start moving forward, with your decision to write a new chapter, even if your hands are trembling as you turn the page. You are not weak for wanting love. You are human, but you are stronger than you realize for refusing to settle for its counterfeit. So step into your strength, step into your courage, step into the truth you've been avoiding. Don't go back, not because you don't care, but because you finally do, because you finally care enough about yourself to walk away. And that, my friend, is the beginning of everything you've been waiting for.